How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today. As you can see, we have a little comparison video of the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S in 2025 here for y'all today. Kind of just going over essentially what the differences are here and kind of the pros and cons of each one, and kind of giving you my opinions and recommendations on both, and which one I think would be better for certain types of people to pick up and buy depending on their situation and what they're looking for here in 2025. And yeah, so yeah, obviously this is, Xbox's two kind of flagship current gen consoles we're looking at here, right? We're not really going to be comparing this to any other outside ecosystems or platforms. We're not really going to be comparing it to the Nintendo Switch or the PlayStation 5 or any other current gen systems. I'm assuming if you're looking at this video, you're kind of already decided or leaning towards Xbox in the first place, and you're kind of just looking at guidance for, do I want the Series X or do I want the Series S, and kind of trying to distinguish the two consoles there and see, which one might be better for you, and that's kind of what we're going over here today. As you can see, I've got Windows tabs pulled up for both of the consoles here, and there's obviously a few different editions of each different console, but we're mainly going to be focusing on the base editions of both, meaning the 1 TB disk drive, carbon black, Xbox One X you see here, or Xbox Series X you see here, and the white 512 GB, all digital Series S that was the mainstay of that console group until recently. But we will touch on the others, of course. So yeah, let's just kind of get this started here. As you can see, apart from just the pure look differences with the colors and the design styles, of course, the main other difference you might see is kind of the price differential here. The Xbox Series X, which is kind of the flagship Xbox console, is marketed as kind of the more powerful and more, pro, quote-unquote, version of the Xbox consoles here, and kind of the main one here. This standard edition, this is what most people have, this is what most people have gotten and are looking at. The 1 TB disk drive version is $500 USD as of right now, unless you're finding it, in some sort of bundle or some sort of deal. That is currently, as I'm recording this, the mainstay price, again, unless there's sales or deals going on. And the original Series S here, the main Series S here, 512 all-digital white version, is $300. So already right off the bat, you kind of see the two of the biggest disparities and two of the biggest kind of differences and, pros and cons here of these consoles is the price difference, which is $200 difference. I know I recently did a video on the PS5 Pro, there being a base price for both consoles. The disc drive first, honestly, there's a $200 difference there with the PS5 and the PS5 Pro, depending on versions and all sorts of sales and bundles, of course, but base prices for both. This is a little different, obviously, since 300 and 500 instead of 500 and 700, but still, these are two of the main kind of differences there and stuff you want to be kind of paying attention to and looking at when you're considering which one to get here. So yeah, I guess going over pros and cons for each one here, it's hard not to kind of gravitate and kind of, I guess you could say, glaze the Series X when you're listening at the pros and cons of who wins in what category, because as the price tag and kind of just the size maybe of the system reflects, the Series X is the more powerful and the more, higher performance console of the two of the, mainstay current gen Xbox systems here. Obviously, you can get in a few different editions here. You can get an all digital one for about $50 cheaper. So no disk drive internal. I don't believe there's an option to add on to that. Or the new 2 TB disk drive. It's got a new 2 TB thing. That's slightly upgraded specs, but the main thing is 2 TB and a weird little Galaxy design difference. Those are the main things, but I believe there's slightly upgraded specs or just newer stuff. But regardless, it's not really a major difference outside of the storage and the design, if you particularly like that for some reason. But yeah, regardless, the Series X it's the more powerful console. It's got better tech and hardware inside of it. It's got more storage. It's, I guess you could say the more future-proof console, even though as long as this is the current gen consoles, they're always going to make everything playable, at least on the Series S. But when the next generation comes out, which I don't know, there's been rumors, there's some weird stuff going on with the next generation of Xbox consoles, people debating is there even going to be a next generation Xbox consoles like we've seen in the past and like we see here, or is it going to be some sort of like remote streaming device? Is it going to be some sort of PC console hybrid? Is there even going to be a console at all? It's kind of weird. Or is it going to be a traditional console, of course? But regardless, it doesn't seem like 2025 there's going to be any new consoles from Xbox coming out. At least there's some pretty unsubstantiated rumors, but that's about it. Beyond that, it's really just. It seems like 2028 is the next gen kind of target point for Xbox, whatever that may be and whatever shape that may take. Regardless, I wouldn't really worry about that. You have, probably 3-ish years, maybe a little more, until the next console generation comes out. If that's, personally speaking, for me, that's enough of a time, the money ratio for me to feel like I got my use out of this current gen. But that's different person to person, so I'll kind of leave that up to your discretion. But that's kind of what it seems like right now. So it's nothing around the corner, and it doesn't seem like there's any mid-gen upgrades coming to this generation either. The mid-gen upgrades that you see, really, this is the extent of the mid-gen upgrades that you see with the 2 terabyte upgrade there and the 1 terabyte, Series X. Those are kind of the mid-generation upgrades that they are pulling out. Maybe a handheld device, but no actual console. So yeah, that's kind of the future of that. Just so that. But yeah, regardless, Series X is the more powerful console. It's the more future-proof console, regardless of what happens next generation. Even a couple years into the next generation, it'll probably be still usable. So we're talking, theoretically, it could be like 2030 and this thing could still be usable, because that's generally how these have gone. When you go from the 360 to Xbox One, a lot of people still on the 360 playing that, and vice versa. When you go from the One to the X, a lot of people still use the One well into the Series X and S current gen lifespan. That's kind of just how it is. But regardless, it's it's the more future-proof. It's a more powerful console. They both, I believe, can get 4K. If I don't have as much experience with the. Okay, no, they can both get up to 120 frames per second, which is a pretty important thing there. It's more important, in my opinion, than 4K because a lot of people don't even have 4K TVs, regardless. But they can both do 120 frames per second here. But the Xbox Series X can get 4K gaming, and they can do 8K HDR, which is cool that it's a powerful enough system to be able to do that. But again, not really anything is made or registered in 8K, so it's kind of a pointless kind of spec there. Regardless, though, yeah, it's hard to kind of list out all these categories and specs and everything and not just completely swing to the Series X. It's got really better tech in every way than the Series X. It can do 4K gaming. It'll more consistently run 120 frames per second on more intensive games. It's a more future-proof console. It has a disk drive, which varies person to person how useful or how important that is to you. But regardless, it's something that me with a closet full of past gen games is very important to me personally. It's part of the reason I chose the Series X over the S. That almost nearly double-ish storage of the Series X compared to the baseline Series S. Obviously, you can upgrade that with different additions, but regardless, it's nearly double the storage, which is really nice, especially in this day and age of games just being huge. Like, particularly the Call of Duty series is the prime example, where that is, hundreds of gigabytes, I believe, of storage that you would otherwise, just kind of wipe out almost half of your inventory probably with the Series S there. Regardless of how much you like that game, it is still a pretty big bullet to take there. And that's kind of the huge selling point of the Series X is it's a better, more high-performing console. It's got more storage. It's got a disk drive. Those are kind of the things there. It is more expensive. That's kind of the con. That's one of the big selling points of the S over here. Is that kind of selling point? The two big selling points for the S is obviously the reduced price. Saving $200 on a console that's still capable of running all the same games at 120 FPS possibly is great. 4K, the lack of 4K features is a bummer, but regardless, it's not a huge deal breaker for some people who don't even have 4K TVs or don't hugely care about graphics to that level anyways. I can always say I like good graphics as much as the next guy, but don't make a console decision whether it's Series X or S, or do I want to go PlayStation or do I want to go Xbox. Don't make those decisions solely based on what is the more powerful system or what can give me the top of the line graphics. If you really are that guy who wants to push graphics to the max, probably look into a PC, which yes will be more expensive, but you'll get that all desired holy graphics to you. Me personally, anything from the Series S all the way up to the Xbox Series X or PS5 Pro and anything like that, it looks great. There's not a massive amount of difference. There is difference that you can notice, but it's not game breaking. It's not fucking horrible or anything. It'll run fine. It's really not that big of an issue. If unless you're a graphics freak or something like that, it doesn't particularly matter. They both run fairly smoothly and can play all of the same games. So don't. While it is a selling point for some people and it's important, it's a nice thing to have. Don't solely make that decision based off of just graphics and hardware. Make it off of ecosystem, make it off of games, make it off of design features, add that in there too. There's a lot of things to consider. And that's kind of where the Series S shines here, is the price point. The price point is really great. $300 for a console, a current gen console that can run all the games you want to play is amazing. The lack of disk drive does suck because of backwards compatibility issues, but regardless, it's still a hard to beat price point for a lot of systems here. And it's also one of the bigger selling points is portability and storage. As you can see between the two different designs here, the Series X is not only much heavier than the S, it's also obviously they're shaped differently, so it's kind of hard to compare directly. But the S is much easier to travel with, it's much easier to store, it's much easier to, takes up less space. It's a lot easier to put into a backpack or something and travel with it than the X is, not only due to the weight, but how it's kind of just shaped as a more flat, longer rectangle than the kind of mini fridge tower that is the Series X. So if you're a person who travels a lot or goes anywhere and likes to and moves around their consoles a lot, the Series S is definitely a much better kind of system for you, whether that's the 1 terabyte edition or the 520 gigabyte or 512 gigabytes edition. Whether you want to spend that extra money for some extra storage, it's up to you. But regardless, the Series S line of consoles travels a lot better because of the shape and size and the weight of it. Speaking from personal experience of seeing this done, I couldn't imagine really putting the Series X in really anything but a suitcase just because of the weight and shape and size of it. So yeah, if you're a person who travels a lot, you're a person who doesn't mind a lot of graphics, tinier difference in graphics, if you're a person who doesn't really have a ton of high storage games on their Xbox as well, the Series X at the price point it is a very compelling system to pick up here. It's hard to beat at that price point for what it offers you in return. It might not be as future-proofed. You're not really going to be playing this into the next generation of consoles. It might look like the BO3 version of, for the Xbox 360 type of thing. But regardless, for $300, are you really expecting a system that's going to last you well into a next generation? Probably not. But it's going to be able to play all the games of the current generation fairly well, get you into that game, get you the enjoyment of it, which is really, at the end of the day, the kind of mainstay and main issue with gaming consoles is that's what you want to do with that. So yeah, it's two great systems here. They really priced these and kind of made the distinctions clear here. This is a lot better and a lot more clear of a distinction for the type of person, type of price than the PS5 Pro and the PS5 Slim, in my opinion. It's pretty clear. If you have the extra money, you want the high performance, you want a more future-proof system, you want a disk drive, a little more storage maybe, I would definitely go with the Series X. It's a fantastic console, and you will not regret that purchase if that's you, especially if you don't travel a lot and don't plan on moving it. But if maybe you don't have as much money or don't want to spend as much money for the current gen consoles right now, you just want to play some Xbox games, don't really care about disc or physical content, and don't need a ton of storage for the games you are planning on playing, still want access to that games and those game passes that want to be able to play them. You don't really mind that you don't really have 4K gaming, but you can still play them all fairly well at pretty good looking stuff. And also, if you travel a lot, want to move this around a lot, want to store this away somewhere, it's a lot easier to do that. Definitely go with the Series S, either the 1 terabyte or the 512 gigabyte edition, whatever storage option you want and whatever money you're comfortable spending there. It's a great console. It packs a tremendous punch and is a great deal and a great system for the price points, and it is really fantastic. So yeah, that kind of wraps up the video here, the comparison between the Xbox Series S and the X in 2025. Comment down below, let me know what you think, which edition you have, any questions you have, stuff like that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are enjoying the channel. If you are, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe. I try to post content as much as I can, usually daily, something related to gaming. And it's been a good ride, and hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.